So, let's talk about Amish gardening. It's a practice rooted in tradition, passed down through generations, and honestly, it offers some really smart solutions to common gardening challenges. Most gardeners build their raised beds with good intentions but flawed layering. They pile in cardboard, compost, straw, and soil in the wrong order, or they mix everything together hoping it will, even out. It looks fine for a few weeks, but by mid-season the bed sinks, water pools on top, and the roots hit a lifeless layer that never decomposed properly. The Amish, who have gardened on the same plots for generations without fertilizer or tilling, solved this problem long ago. Their method of layering, simple, slow, and biologically precise, creates soil that improves each year instead of collapsing. You know, it's not about adding more materials, it's about stacking them the right way so they break down in balance, feeding plants naturally from below. Most gardeners build layers that suffocate instead of feed the soil. The biggest mistake in modern raised bed layering is trapping air and moisture in the wrong places. Most gardeners build layers that suffocate instead of feed the soil. The biggest mistake in modern raised bed layering is trapping air and moisture in the wrong places. When a gardener puts cardboard on the bottom, covers it with thick straw, and dumps compost on top, they often create a seal that suffocates soil life. Water drains poorly, worms can't move upward, and decomposition stops in layers instead of blending. Over time, this turns the bed into a sandwich of rot, wet below, dry above, and sterile in the middle. The Amish approach reverses this logic. They don't build beds to block or separate, they build them to breathe. Every layer has a purpose: air at the bottom, structure in the middle, and nutrition on top. Nothing goes in unbalanced, and nothing is sealed. Their guiding principle is that soil is alive, and every layer should support that life instead of smothering it. The foundation must drain and breathe, not seal. The foundation must drain and breathe, not seal. At the base of every Amish-style bed is a coarse layer designed to keep the soil open. Instead of cardboard or plastic weed barriers, they use small branches, corn stalks, or old straw stems laid loosely, about 2 to 3 inches deep. This creates the first zone of airflow and moisture regulation. Rain can move through, worms can rise freely, and the base never compacts. Above that goes a thin sprinkling of aged manure or rough compost, not to feed roots yet, but to attract decomposers into the bed. So, think of it as an invitation layer, not really a fertilizer layer. This blend of coarse matter and organic inoculant, well, it kicks off the decomposition chain right away, letting the next layers sort of knit together naturally. By avoiding cardboard, which, blocks gas exchange, the soil underneath actually stays biologically active. The real goal here is to integrate new organic matter with the ground below, not just isolate it. The middle layer is, honestly, where structure and biology really meet. The middle layer is where structure and biology meet. This is the heart of the Amish system, and it's where most gardeners go wrong. Instead of dumping one thick type of organic matter, the Amish alternate light layers of green and brown material, grass clippings followed by chopped leaves, or half-rotted hay followed by shredded corn stalks. Each layer is only 1 or 2 inches thick, just enough for microbes to access both carbon and nitrogen evenly. So, the ratio here is actually pretty simple. It's 2 parts carbon-rich material to 1 part nitrogen-rich material. If you have too much green, it creates heat and compaction, but if you go overboard with the brown, decomposition just slows down to a crawl. When these layers are kept thin and balanced, they start to ferment gently, producing warmth and a steady breakdown, but without those intense heat spikes that can destroy beneficial fungi. In just a few weeks, the layers actually fuse into one breathable mass that worms can move through really easily. And honestly, that's what gives Amish soil its loose, earthy texture that crumbles in your hand instead of clumping together. Once the middle layers are set, the Amish top everything with finished compost or finely aged manure, usually about 3 inches deep. Once the middle layers are set, the Amish top everything with finished compost or finely aged manure, usually about 3 inches deep. This isn't mixed in, it's spread evenly, then covered with a thin mulch of straw or chopped leaves. The top layer of your garden bed, it's quite crucial. You see, the compost here provides the immediate nutrition for the first planting. Meanwhile, the mulch plays its part by protecting the surface from drying and erosion. Now, this top layer is what truly sets a living bed apart from a dead one. The compost acts as a slow-release feed, and as rain gently percolates through, the nutrients leach downward, feeding the decomposing layers below. The thin mulch, it regulates moisture, allowing those deeper layers to keep breaking down all season long. By the time late summer rolls around, the entire bed behaves like a slow-moving compost pile in perfect equilibrium, never too dry, never too soggy, and absolutely teeming with microbial life. The Amish never rebuild their beds, they renew them. Another key to this system is, well, continuity. Modern gardeners often rebuild beds every year, stripping old mulch and resetting layers from scratch. The Amish never do this, they simply top up what nature consumes. Each fall, they rake off the thin surface mulch, spread another 2 inches of semi-finished compost or manure, and replace the mulch on top. This gentle renewal keeps decomposition continuous year after year. In spring, the result is deep, spongy soil that holds moisture without turning heavy. The base never compacts, and the structure remains intact. This approach not only saves labor but also creates a self-sustaining ecosystem. The biology stays active through all seasons, meaning nutrients are constantly being cycled and stored. Within 2 or 3 years, the original layers are indistinguishable. They've merged into a single living body of soil that outperforms any store-bought mix. So, how do you adapt this system in modern raised beds? Well, let's talk about that. Here's how you can adapt this system in modern raised beds. For gardeners working with wooden or metal beds, the Amish layering method still applies. You want to start with coarse materials at the bottom, things like small branches, corn stalks, or wood chips, to a depth of about 2 inches. Then, just alternate thin layers of greens and browns until the bed is about 2/3 full. Next, add a final layer of mature compost that's about 3 inches thick, top it off with some mulch, and then water everything thoroughly. For best results, you should mix your greens and browns using roughly 1 wheelbarrow of shredded leaves for every half barrel of grass or manure. So, as you build your bed, be sure to water each layer lightly as you go, just to keep the decomposition process nice and consistent. And, hey, never pack those materials down. Air is just as important as moisture, you know? Once you're finished, the bed will actually start to warm up a bit as the microbes get to work and activate. You can go ahead and plant directly into the top compost layer right away, and by the end of the season, the lower layers will have started breaking down into really rich, pure humus. By year 2, you'll notice something remarkable. Your soil won't shrink anymore. Instead, it stays high and full, because what's decomposing below is constantly replaced by organic life. This is the true no-turn system the Amish rely on, a living bed that builds itself while you grow. The right layers don't just grow plants, they build a soil legacy. This is why the Amish layering method works where others fail. It's not a one-time setup or a shortcut, it's a design that cooperates with nature's timeline. The layers breathe, feed, and decay in harmony, guided by structure instead of force. Once established, these beds handle drought, flooding, and nutrient stress with almost no intervention. If you've struggled with sunken beds, hard soil, or inconsistent results, start layering the Amish way, thin, balanced, and alive from the bottom up. You'll never need to rebuild again, only to feed the process each season. For more proven, low-effort soil systems that restore fertility year after year, subscribe to Hydrohaven and share this guide with gardeners ready to trade hard labor for living soil. The secret isn't in more compost, it's in layering the way nature and tradition already perfected.